Welcome back, Retro Gamers, to video 8 in the Destiny of an Emperor playthrough series. You may recall in the last video that we are on the trail of Yuan Shao, and we have conquered Bohai Castle. We have also retrieved the two generals from Zhuji's cave, that is Zhuji himself, also known as Danfu, and Zhou Kang, both of whom are very strong additions to our battle group. And we've stopped by Nanyang Castle just to replenish ourselves and to set up for our return to Bohai Castle. The only thing we have room for in our knapsacks now are power pills, which we can't get at Nanyang, so we're headed to Bohai to pick up those power pills and to move on down the trail in search of Yuan Shao. Crossing the bridge always gives me just a little bit of an agita because that was where we got ambushed by Yuan Shao when we had first come out of the Nanyang cave, if you remember that. But at this time, it looks like Yuan Shao has spread his forces across the portion of China that he now controls up here in the north, Bohai being the first one, and then we're going to see what else comes up in the next little while. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to do here at Bohai Castle, and the first one we mentioned is that we are going to fill up our knapsacks with power pills. And believe me, we're going to need them. And we've left room for 4 power pills in several of the general's knapsacks. Because we don't need all that many elixir bees. We're close enough to castles all the way through this next area that we can afford to stay a little light on the elixirs in order to stock up on the power pills. In my power pill configuration, I generally leave the fighting tactician with just a couple of power pills because they don't normally use a lot of power pills. And also, since Chitu Ma is now becoming effective, we have the chance with Guan Yu, who's got Chitu Ma in his possession right now, that if we get into real trouble at the beginning of a battle round, we can use Guan Yu to administer an elixir instead of using his tactics or his muscle. So we filled up now with power pills. We're ready to go. We're always, remember, on the lookout. There's one other thing that we want to do here in the trader's place is we are going to sell our hoods. Now, we didn't have a chance to look at the weapons dealer on the other side of the bridge because we can't get across the bridge until we have Zhuji. Fortunately, we've got him now, and we are going to get across the bridge. There's a weapons dealer now there that I happen to know has the next generation helmet. And now that we're stocked up with power pills and we've got room in our knapsacks for that next gen helmet, we go up and we talk to the lady that turns out to be Zhuji's wife. And that's all she needs, is to make sure that Zhu Ji is with our battle group, and she steps aside and we get to cross the bridge for the first time. We drop in at the weapons dealer. And sure enough, down there at the bottom, we've got the wood helmet. Better than the hood. And as always, we immediately go to equip each one of our generals with that wood helmet. And we're ready to head on down the trail. On the trail of Zhou Kang, and I'm sure we'll run into a lot of his minions on the way. As we come over the mountain range here, we come down and we see a fortress, or a stockade, or whatever you want to call it. And we expect it's going to be defended. Zhu Shou, however you want to pronounce that. You who might have a little more expertise in Chinese, if you want to put in the comments some better pronunciations for all these names, I would be beholden. Now let's take a look at these guys. We recognize some of their names from that ambush on the bridge. Zhu Shou is obviously their tactician with 170 intelligence. Yan Liang has 180 strength. Wen Hun has 190 strength. And then we've got the rebel force. And you might notice the rebel forces started out at 30 or 40 strength. Now they're up to 70 strength. So they get stronger as the game goes along. So we are going to use our muscle against Zhu Shou, and we're going to use our strength against Yan Liang and Wen Hun. And since we are close enough to Bo Hai, we can just turn around and backtrack after this battle. We're going to use everything that we've got because these guys are actually looking pretty formidable. So let's take the power pill. And as I said, we're using muscle against Zhu Zhou. And we're going to use our tactics against the other two. Now, we can use Yan Rui, and that will attack all of the enemy battle group. So we could use water, and that might be better against those two strong generals. Let's just try Yan Rui and see how that goes. And then again, power pills against the tactician. 131 at a swipe. Our Yan Rui was actually successful even against the tactician. So that was a very good tactic for us to use. The power pills are wrecking havoc, and you notice Zhang Fei with the trident and the power pill takes all over 500 casualties. Of course, he gets whacked in return by Zhu Zhou's fire tactic. And this is the reason we want to get Zhu Zhou off the board as quickly as possible. And I think we're going to be able to take him out without using another round of power pills on him. So we're just going to run muscle against him, tactic against the overall battle group. And we see that Zhou Kang and Hua Zhang are in a little bit of trouble right now, so we got to keep our eye on them. And Yan Liang and Wen Han are taking over 100 casualties, so Zhou Kang is going to need some restorative help here in a minute. We got rid of the tactician, and now we can focus on these two generals, and Wen Han is just a little bit stronger, but oops, Zhang Fei is also in a little bit of trouble here. So we're going to do a special deal. I think we can go ahead and use a power pill. And because Yan Liang is a lot closer to being routed than Wen Han, let's just gang up on Yan Liang for right now. And let's restore Zhang Fei with the tactic rather than attacking the enemy with that tactic. And let's use Zhou Kang. Now, even though Zhou Kang isn't all that intelligent, any general can use a restorative tactic and be fairly successful at it. So let's just restore Zhou Kang with his own tactic. And we'll let Hua Zhang bring up the rear with another power pill. So Zhang Fei's back up to full strength just in time. And Zhou Kang is back up to full strength without being threatened. So that was a very lucky series of transactions. Yan Liang is off the board. Let's just go ahead and gang up on Wen Han, keeping our eye on Hua Zhang to make sure he didn't get in trouble. And that was quite a successful transaction for such a large group of enemies. And we got quite a bit of experience, quite a few gold coins, and a bunch of rations also. And here in this stockade, there is only one person. And we are going to use, remember the all-important silver key? This is where you use it to unlock the stockade barrier. We're going to talk to this little lady right here. And she says, if we meet Zhao Yuan in the next castle, give him this letter so he knows he's safe. So we've got a letter to give to Zhao Yuan, whoever that is. And that's it. She seems to be pretty independent. She didn't ask us for any more of our help. But right now, we're in a rather depleted position. So the first thing that we're going to do is take one of the elixirs and just bring Hua Zhang back up to speed. We've wasted a little bit of that elixir strength, but that saves us from worrying about Hua Zhang. And the other generals that we have with us should be able to survive the short trip back to Bohai Castle, where we'll pick up more power pills and more elixir B. And here we are with Zhu Zhou again. Remember, he was the tactician that we just met. Now, if we could talk him into coming onto our side, it would be a feather in our cap. He's not all that intelligent. Guan Yu was even able to affect him some with our fire tactic. But he's got that Frankenstein headpiece, and he's got a whole boatload of soldiers. All right, let's see if we can recruit him. 2720 gold coins, that's a good deal as far as I'm concerned. So let's now we got a decision. Zhu Zhou isn't all that strong, but we are going to let him replace Hua Zhang. And if you remember Hua Zhang, he's been with us for quite a while. He's not all that strong himself, but he served us well. Now is the time to let him retire. So we're going to pass his equipment to Zhu Zhou. and equip Shao immediately, of course. And watch those fast fingers. I've probably warned you about this before, but sometimes I click one too many and end up dropping one of my pieces of equipment. And once you've dropped something, you cannot get it back. It disappears forever. Let's go ahead and change the formation. Put Zhuzhou up front. And we'll put Guan in the trailer position for the moment. And even though Guan Yu is a little smarter than Zhuzhou, because Zhuzhou is a designated trained tactician, we're going to pass Ma over to Zhuzhou and let him take the lead in the next strategy battles. And let's get back now and replenish our power pill situation. Get out of my way. Now, let's just make sure, let's take Huazhang's elixirs and pass them to Zhuzhou. And then we don't have to check the knapsacks. We can just buy power pills to fill up the knapsacks of our fighting generals. I don't rightly remember how many power pills we used from each of our generals. So just by force of purchasing, we'll let the system tell us when the knapsacks are full. Now, Guan Yu didn't use any power pills, but he doesn't have Ma anymore. So we're going to let him carry that third power pill now. And remember, we used an elixir B from Zhu Ji. So, hitting the wrong finger buttons here. We are buying an elixir B. And let's see, just to make sure that Zhu Ji's knapsack is full. Wait a minute. I'm thinking through some things here. Zhu Ji used that silver key. And in return, the Zhou letter went to Zhang Fei, I think. Yep. And now all our knapsacks are full, so we don't have a chance to rearrange things. But one thing I am going to do here, and you can choose to do this or not, but I'm headed back to Nanyang Castle because I am always on the lookout for a stronger general. And right now, I should have replenished myself at the inn there at Bohai Castle. We're a little skinny in our personnel at this point. Hopefully we'll get back to the castle before we run into any problems. And let's go right to the inn to replenish ourselves. Of course, I could have made the personnel dump before that and saved us a few gold coins. My penny-pinching self doesn't like that, but let's just make sure that Huazhang doesn't have anything, and let's leave him behind. Now I'm going to do one more thing since we're here, and since it's close, let's go ahead and save our game. Just in case the power goes out, the computer goes down, Mom comes to get us for dinner, or whatever might interrupt us. We only need 495 experience points to get up to the next level, and that might be very helpful at this stage of the game. Thank you for your patience as we do a couple of extra trips to Nanyang Castle because they've got that headquarters there. So it's very handy to have that. And now we are fully staffed, fully kitted out, and ready to move on to the next castle. Now, one of the reasons I didn't want a trailer, you remember that that letter goes to another general. Let's take a look at Ma Yan here. I don't think, no, we don't need him. That letter goes to another general, and that general, assuming that he is a very strong character, might be willing to join us since we got a letter from his sister. And if we had a trailer, if we had 6 generals in our battle group, 6 fighting generals, and the acting tactician, we wouldn't have been able to take him on. Or at least we wouldn't be able to put him in our battle group. He'd end up in the reserves. So every time you go across this bridge, don't ever try to come by here unless you've got Juji in your battle group. Because that's as far as you'll go as long as his wife is standing there. And she never leaves, apparently. Okay, now we're headed back the stockade. Back past the stockade. And on to the next castle, which happens to be Guangzhong Castle. And this one's a little bit of a schlep. For those of you not familiar with Yiddish, that means a long, arduous journey. Okay, Yuan and Shan Pei. Yuan is kind of a middle-of-the-road guy, and Shan Pei is not even quite middle of the road. Let's do an all-out and see how far we can get. We've got plenty of elixirs in our knapsacks, so we can afford a few extra casualties rather than having to do a targeted attack against these guys. Okay, and we've reached the magic level. Another tactic, more tactical ability, and we capture these 2 generals, but we don't need them. And only one of them offered anyway. Let's take a look at our staffing levels. Zhuzhou is not even 400 down yet, so it looks like we are fairly well staffed for where we are. No elixirs needed at this point. And here we are at Guangzhong Castle. And sure enough, the first person we encounter is the brother of the little lady in the stockade. So where's that letter? Oh yeah, it was Zhang Fei that had the letter. So he wishes to defect. We say, of course, and then we take a look at his bona fides. 245 strength, 216 intelligence. This guy is a powerhouse. He's only got 574 soldiers for right now, but spoiler alert, Zhao Yun is one of the tigers that we've been looking for, and his soldier count will begin to increase as the level of the game increases. So he is a great guy to have on our team right now. And since he overshadows Zhou Kang as far as everything, we'll swap places between him and Zhou Kang. We'll pass all of Zhou Kang's equipment to Zhao Yun. Equipping Zhao Yun, of course. Let's give him the power pills. Now, you may have noticed that Zhao Yun is a lot smarter, even than Guan Yu, but very much smarter than Zhuzhou. And we could, by rights, make him our fighting tactician. But he's also very, very strong. So we're going to leave him as kind of a backup tactician and let him mostly exert his muscle. Let's go ahead, though, and give Zhou Kang's last power pill to Zhang Fei, because he is stronger still and has a lot more soldiers at this point. Let's give that Elixir B to Zhao Yun. And just in case, and because we can, let's take another Elixir B and give it to Zhao Yun. Let's make sure that all of our fighting generals have all the elixirs that we need. And even though Zhuzhou is not 450 soldiers down, I'm going to go ahead and feed him an elixir, bring him up to full speed, just because we can. Now, the formation, lest we forget, we need to move Zhou Kang down and Zhao Yun up. Otherwise, we'll still have Zhou Kang in there fighting with his hands, and Zhao Yun will just be idle. So, we've got our formation. We're set to hit the portal. Yuan Tan, which you may remember was one of the generals in the ambush. And these other two guys, I can't remember whether they were or not. But you might look at Zhang Fei, and right away, Zhang Fei's already in a little bit of trouble. So we're going to have to do something about that. And I think what we're going to do is, first of all, let's get the reports. Yuan 10, 160, 130. Yuan G, 140, 120, lesser in all respects. And Tian Feng is the tactician at 160. So, muscle against Tian Feng, strategies against everybody else. And we're going to use an elixir on Zhang Fei right away. So let's go with the tactics. Let's go with the fire tactics again. We could use, I was going to say we could use the water against one guy, but no river nearby, so let's use the fire. And let's just run a battle against Tian Feng and let our muscle guys. Actually, I'm going to let Zhang Jun take his elixir B and treat Zhang Fei with it. And then we'll let our muscle guy run against the tactician, and let's let Zhao Yun be a backup tactician and see how he does with the fire tactic. Okay, the first fire tactic was very successful even against their tactician. And Zhao Yun, well, that's very interesting. He was unsuccessful against the muscle guys with the fire, but he succeeded against Tian Feng. So random results sometimes. Zhang Fei is back up to full steam. So that was a pretty good tactic all the way along. Let's repeat the same strategy this time. And because any spillover from Tian Feng, if we rout Tian Feng, all the rest of the muscle will just bounce up to Yuan 10. So let's go ahead and load up on the muscle against Tian Feng. And let's try another double tactic attack with Zhao Yun. Man, they are picking on Zhang Fei. They must know that he has the trident. But still a fairly successful battle round for us. Tian Feng is off the board. These two guys are getting whittled down. Let's go to an all-out and keeping our eye on each one of our generals and see if we can just dispatch these guys. Notice we didn't have to use our power pills against this particular castle. That's a very good thing for the future because I'm not sure that Guanzhong Castle has power pills. I'm just going to check that on my gaming aid. Sure enough, no power pills. So let's replenish ourselves first off. Now this is an interesting little castle, and we've got a couple of pieces of business to transact here. First of all, let's drop into the merchant. And we are going to sell let's see, Zhang Jun has got a spear. Do we want to get the next upgrade to Zhang Jun or Guan Yu? You guys choose, but I think I'm going to give it to Guan Yu. When in doubt, give it to Zhang Fei and Guan Yu, because even though they may have fewer soldiers at this particular time, they've got that great strength. Because I happen to know that we're going to pick up an upgraded weapon right here at this well. The saber. Now the saber still isn't as strong as the trident, not even close, but, and that should have fallen into the pack of Guan Yu. He's the only one that had room, I thought. There it is. let's take one of Zhu Ji's elixirs and pass it up there to Zhang Jun, just to fill up his knapsack. And now we've got to run into this guy, Yuan Shang. What he says doesn't make much sense, but we get the idea that he's going to attack us. And let's see what kind of a package he brings to the battle. Kind of a little above mediocre. Let's see if we can do an all-out against him. Actually, we're here in a castle. We can just go right back to the inn and replenish our tactics. So let's use some tactics on him and his rebel force and see how we do. And let's even throw Guan Yu into the mix of tactics, since this is kind of a freebie for us. And we can compare the different tacticians as to their success. Zhao Yun had a little bit of mixed success there. Yuan Shang has mixed success with his fire attack. And then Zhuzhou looks like he's doing pretty well all the way down the line. And then Guan Yu takes care of the rest of the rebel forces, but wasn't successful against Yuan Shang. But we're successful enough now that we can just do the all-out against this guy. Easy peasy. So he puts a good face on things and runs away saying he'll be back to fight another day. Well, we really don't believe that. Maybe we'll see him, maybe we won't. But let's replenish ourselves. And head on down the road. Every castle we come to, we're getting closer to Yuan Shao and the rest of his minions. And let's just stop by here because we got a headquarters in the middle of nowhere. And not a headquarters, but a recorder. And let's record 1143 for the next level. Let's take a quick look. And we are at level 16 now. So it's going to be a while before we can rack up 1100 points, depending on what we run into in this next little jaunt. Up into the frozen north. And across to an easterly heading, just this little group of rebels. And we come to the next castle. And this particular castle has 2 stockades protecting it. So we're really going to have to fight our way through this thing, and we're going to have to be pretty smart in order to get in there. So let's see what we hit at the first barricade. Ma Yan. Doesn't look all that threatening. And he's not. And Lu Jiang is a little more threatening, so let's just do one round, targeted against Lu Jiang, whittle him down, hopefully diminish his striking power a little bit. Now, remember, of course, Battle Math 101, when you get a general down below 100 soldiers, it cuts their striking power by significantly more than half. In these upper rounds, where we start getting these very large populations of soldiers, we begin to cut the striking power at a little bit higher level. So we're not going to demonstrate that right now, but instead of having to get Lu Jiang all the way down to 100, we've probably diminished his striking power a little bit already. So let's just go ahead and do the all-out against these guys, save a little bit of time, and we have sufficient elixirs that we can replenish ourselves before the next barricade. And here's another little tip. Since we are so close to Guanzhong Castle, we could defeat these two barricades and turn around and replenish ourselves at Guanzhong Castle before we came back to hit the main force here at Jiju Castle. But right now, let's just take a look at our staffing levels, and it looks like we're in pretty good shape. So let's just hit the next stockade and see what they bring to the table. Prepare to die. Sounds like Inigo Montoya. Zhang Yi is not much of a great shakes, but Guo Tu is. So we're going to have to do some targeting against Guo Tu. And of course, we want to keep our tactics and our power pills in our hip pocket because we figure that we'll hit the main force at the castle rather than out here at the barricades. And you'll notice Zhang Fei is picking up a lot more, or inflicting a lot more casualties than any of our other generals right now. And remember, we gave that saber to Guan Yu. Let's just compare and see what kind of casualty rates we're inflicting now. Zhuzhou, 10, not strong at all. Zhang Fei, 239. Guan Yu, 112. So almost half as many as Zhang Fei. So that next gen weapon, the saber, is still a pretty powerful weapon. Let's hit Go 2 one more time with the targeted attack. So Zhuzhou, as you see, is not really holding up his own with a muscle attack, but he seems to be a very effective tactician. And again, he's got whole lots of soldiers. So that offsets his weakness in just the weaponry department. And we have defeated Zhang Yi and Guo Tu. Got almost 500 of those 1,100 points that we need to climb to the next level. And now is the time to either go back and replenish ourselves at Guanzhong or just use our elixirs. And it looks like we can just use our elixirs and we'll be good. And I think, just doing a quick computation, that we're going to just top ourselves off with as many elixirs as we've got. Now, we remember we went light with elixirs. So this may not be the best strategy in the world. As a matter of fact, as I think it through, I'm going to take the better part of valor and head back to Guanzhong Castle and replenish our elixirs and sleep it off at the inn. The reason I'm doing that is I've got an idea that we're going to need all of our power pills and all of our elixirs when we get into that fight at Jiju Castle. And if we go in there with some of our generals not having an emergency elixir to use, it could get us into big trouble. So why risk it? We sleep it off at the inn. And we come back to our friendly neighborhood merchant and we fill our knapsacks with elixirs. Well, now we're probably not going to need all 5 of those elixirs headed back to Juju Castle. But since we've got room in the knapsack, there's no reason right now not to fill it up with elixirs. And back we come, and we can just straight down and hit the portal. And sure enough, Yuan Shao is there, ready to take payment in our blood for killing his brother. So here's the final battle, and take a look at these guys. First of all, take a look at the guy down at the bottom. Lu Bu, the traitor, now has 1,400, more than 1,400 soldiers. So let's take a look. We know how strong he is. He's the strongest general in the game. Yuan Shao, 170 over 150. Zhang He, 210 over 150. Zhu Shou, that is, obviously the tactician. And then Lu Bu. Okay, so we're going to use muscle against Zhu Shou, and we're going to use strategies against the others, although you notice Yuan Shao is pretty smart himself. So this is going to be a pretty challenging battle, given that they are about twice as strong as we are in personnel. So this is going to be a tough one. So let's start out with the tactic. Fire, of course, because we're in the middle of the mountains here. So, and muscle against Zhu Shou. Actually, let's break out the power pills and start really swinging it. And let's just try some backup tactics and see how we fare. Notice that big casualty that Lu Bu inflicted on Zhang Fei, and then Yuan Shao comes back with his fire tactic and really burns us. So this is going to be a difficult battle indeed. Fairly successful in that fire tactic. Very successful in this fire tactic. Wow, Zhao Yun really did a number on those guys. Zhang Fei with his power pill, very effective. So we're given as good as we're taken. And Guan Yu kicks in with some very strong offensive as well. Now, our only problem here is that Zhang Fei is going to have to be restored. So I'm going to hope that Chi Tu Ma is going to be effective in this particular battle, and we're going to use one of Zhuzhou's elixir bees to restore Zhang Fei. Just a couple of swipes from a couple of these strong generals and Zhang Fei would be knocked out of the battle, and we don't want that to happen. But while he's in this diminished capacity, we don't want him using up his power pills either. So we're just going to run him a regular battle against Zhuzhou. And Zhang Jun, we're going to let him continue with the power pills. Guan Yu, let's do more tactics. We've got enough tactical points left that, and it looked like our tactics were very successful last time, so let's just keep it up. We got Zhang Fei back up to full speed, and Zhao Yun's fire tactics are very successful. And Guan Yu was interestingly successful against the tactician and Lu Bu, which is really helpful. And of course, this is where we want to, all of our generals seem to be okay for the moment. So let's do another fire with Shuzhou. Let's do a power pill against Lu Bu and a power pill against Zhang He. We've still got plenty of tactical points left, and it looks like we're getting the upper hand in this battle right now, thanks to that combination of lots of tacticians and lots of power pills. And fire seems to be a great device here. Zhao Yun is doing a great job with his fire. Guan Yu not as great, but we were successful in getting rid of Lu Bu, and I think we can risk an all-out here. Let's keep an eye on Guan Yu and make sure he doesn't get in trouble with his staffing levels. But it looks like we're going to vanquish Yuan Shao without too much more trouble. We've got his head. All of Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu's egomaniacal plans have been undone. Peace settles over the land, and we get to say the word egomaniacal. Pretty cool. We've also advanced a skill level. And now, bear with me, we're going to do all the housekeeping things that we need to do here in Jishu Castle, including inviting Liu Bei into the area. But I've got a very important, actually one of my top 10 tricks to share with you. So the first thing we're going to do is replenish ourselves at the inn. Just because it's right there and I don't want to forget it. The next thing that we're going to do is invite Liu Bei. And this is a fairly large castle here, so we find the recorder and we invite Liu Bei. Well, heck, he didn't seem to be quite as excited as he should be by eliminating the threat of Yuan Shao. But now we've got our next task. We've got to settle Jingzhou province. And there will be people in the castle that will kind of point us in the direction of Jingzhou, but there is more to be done here. The first thing that I'm going to do is share with you the top 10 trick here. Out here to the north of the castle, and you'll talk to one of the characters in the castle and they'll tell you, go out and talk to the priest, he can help you. So you go out here to the north of the castle, you stay close to the castle walls, because otherwise they'll throw you out into the snow. But you come to this little hovel here, and in there is a priest. And if you talk to this priest, he is going to let you increase a level. And right now we are at level 17, and he can bring us up to level 18 as a freebie. We'll have to go back to the inn to get to get the additional soldiers. But you don't want to do this. The reason is as follows, and this is one of the keys to the game. Remember, I keep talking about 51 levels instead of 50? Well, if you wait until you reach level 50, and then wherever you are in the game, you'll be a long way from Jiju Castle, but wherever you are, as soon as you hit level 50, you break out your gull wing, you fly here to Jiju Castle, and you come and talk to this priest, and he will raise you from level 50 to level 51. And each one of your soldiers will get an additional complement of men. And it's a big enough addition that it gives you the power that you need to finish the game. So that's my tip to you. Don't take the priest's offer. Now, if you go and talk to the priest, you're stuck. The minute you start talking to him, he's going to do the deal. So we can stick our head in the door here, but we're not even going to talk to him. We're just going to say, hi, glad to see ya. See you later. And sure enough, like I said, if you don't stick next to the castle wall, it throws you outside the castle. We got to go back in there and take care of our business. We're going to replenish our power pills. There's a weapons upgrade here that's available, and replenish any elixirs that we need. And we'll go ahead and call it quits right now as far as this video is concerned. And we'll take care of that housekeeping stuff. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do all those free things, comment. Include any questions, any Chinese pronunciation, or anything else like that you've got on my YouTube site, Emperor Tricks, and I will respond to you in the comments on my YouTube site. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching, and happy gaming.